Next, we've got this is a hilarious story to me. Okay, so Metallica, obviously, the greatest heavy metal band of all time. It's not close. No one's even in their fucking neighborhood. I'm not saying this as a fanboy. Of course, I love Metallica, but it's clear. If you look at what these guys have done, what they continue to do, the entire run of their career, it's unprecedented by any other metal band. So yeah, they're the greatest. Metallica's been getting an influx of popularity recently, especially with young people, because their jam, Master of Puppets, was featured on Stranger Things. So since Eddie is one of the most popular characters on that show, of course, a lot of people have gotten into Metallica that might not have otherwise done so. Now, in that moment, a lot of the old school Metallica fans would shit on these kids who were showing up trying to get into Metallica. James Hetfield, Papa Het, came out and said, no, guys, be welcoming to these motherfuckers. These are young people who are learning about metal and whatever. Well, it took very little time. The young people have decided to cancel Metallica. It's comical at this point. It's become a business. There's a business to outrage. I'm not breaking any news here. You see it really in every form of media where there's money to be made in stirring shit up. For those who don't really know how the economy of rage works on the internet, especially on social media platforms, you hit the pay window every 1,000 views. So obviously you need as many thousands of motherfuckers to watch your shit as possible if you want to make any money off of it. The chick who hosts the show, she has a series. So every episode, it's called Is Your Fave Problematic? So every episode is her having to go in and tear some shit down. I don't get why people, they believe this shit from people that are getting paid to stir this shit up. If this person is not a Metallica fan, it's very easy to see their career out of context and find things that are objectionable. If you look at this argument against Metallica, I mean, it's fucking paper thin. You could poke your goddamn finger right through it. The things that are problematic. Okay, first off, a little background. Metallica, these fucking dudes, they've been famous since they were teenagers. You know how like they say there are people like, man, nobody has a bad thing to say about them. I had, for years, never ever heard anyone not say negative shit about Metallica, the dudes. It was always like, oh, they're such assholes. Oh, drunk motherfuckers. Nobody had anything good to say about Metallica except when it came to their fucking music. They were drunk and they were dicks. And that was part of their gimmick. These guys are almost 60 fucking years old now. So you're talking about men that have lived pretty much the bulk of their lives, and certainly their entire adult lives, in the spotlight. Now, if after all that time, all you can find is this shit, that's not too bad, man. That's the thing about cancel culture. It's easy when you're 20 years old to kind of point a finger and say, well, I mean, I live righteously. Like, how many years have you had to live righteously? If you're lucky enough to live 40, 50, 60 years, certainly anything beyond, you could have tried your hardest to live righteously and all that shit. But if somebody could take moments out of your life and present them without context, you'd come off as the biggest piece of shit ever. And you'd be sitting there with your thumb up your own ass being like, brr. Why? Why is it? It's because anything taken out of context can be made negative. People have pointed to James Hetfield's use of the Iron Cross, which was something that the Nazis used. It was a medal that the Nazis would hand out. If you look at the 80s, the Iron Cross had been appropriated by skate culture, punk culture, and metal culture. I don't know that they knew what the fuck it meant. I think they might have just thought it was cool. I had seen the Iron Cross used in mainstream applications really all the way up through the early 2000s. So you don't see it now because it's such a hot market out there for people who want to sell outrage. You don't want to do anything to give these fucks any sort of any sort of ammunition to use against you if you're somebody who's trying to make money. And I mean, James was super into cars. He was into punk himself. He was into all that shit. So it's not weird to me that he would have had an iron cross on his guitar. It doesn't mean he's a fucking Nazi, you stupid ass. If you look at the context of the time, a lot of people use the iron cross. I mean, if you have a problem with James Hetfield using it, then go bring it up to Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk. I remember I had a sick ass Tony Hawk shirt that had like a bird skull and an iron cross in the background. Thank God there was no social media. If there was a picture of that, people would be out here saying, I'm a goddamn Nazi. I mean, are there Hispanic Nazis? I mean, I guess maybe if you're self-loathing, suicidal, or something like that. But anyways, to use the iron cross against Hetfield is ridiculous. To the charge of making fun of Kurt Cobain after his suicide. They absolutely did that. And it was fucked up.
What color was Kurt Cobain's eyes? Blue. One blue this way, one blue that way. Fucking terrible, isn't it?
You know, like I was a huge Nirvana fan. I was just a kid. That was one of the very first bands that got me into rock music was Nirvana. And I mean, listen, I'll admit that I cried. I was a little fucking kid. Like, I have to explain myself to you, dickface. Of course I cried. This is my fucking hero, man. You know, there were a lot of people who talked shit, a lot of people who joked about it. Yes, it's fucked up. Do you have to wear the scarlet letter for life because you're a dickhead? But anytime a famous person dies, dickheads are going to come out and make jokes about it. It's just how dickheads are. It's the nature of a dickhead. They need you to know how fucking edgy they are, that they can say something offensive about the person who just died because they get pissed off that people are having a reaction. I think as you live life, as you experience things, then you realize that, you know, maybe that wasn't a cool thing to do. I will say, that was a show, I think, in Sweden or some shit. This is before social media. This is before all that stuff. So that joke, until the internet came, would have just stayed between them and the people in that fucking crowd. It's not an excuse, but once again, is it a cancelable offense? No, it just means that they're dickheads, which is what people have said about Metallica all along. Apparently, Jason Newsted, former bassist, he had thrown some Nazi salutes. Supposedly that was some sort of comment. I guess they were in Moscow and he was, you know, maybe making a misguided comment about what was going on. This is the Iron Curtain, Soviet Russia. And Jason Newsted did the goose step and the Heil Hitler. It's the running theme is that metalheads are sarcastic, dark-humored motherfuckers. So you got a problem with it, you got to go find something else to listen to. You got to go find other people to hang out with. Sometimes shit just be like that. Then the craziest thing to me is, okay, in the early 90s, Metallica and Guns N' Roses were going to do a tour. So yeah, two of the biggest bands in the world, they're going to tour together. It was, I mean, people were like, holy shit, it was going to be huge. In fact, I mean, there was a famous story that came of that tour. They did a few shows before it fell the fuck apart. James Hetfield got burnt up by some of the pyrotechnics, so Metallica had to end their set early.
Through Metallica's set when a stage prop exploded, inflicting second-degree burns on James Hetfield's arms and legs. The band was forced to terminate its set, promising the crowd it would return to play a makeup show. And Hetfield was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment.
There was an incident with the pyrotechnics. Unfortunately, James is on his way to the hospital right now, and we're very sorry, but we can't continue the concert for you guys tonight.
And rather than fucking coming out and playing a long set to you know, send the people home happy, Axl Rose said, fuck this, I'm out of here. And there was a riot. So, I mean, Axl Rose was a really volatile dude at the time. So, yeah, one of the other big points in the cancellation of Metallica is something that Axl Rose said in 1992. He claimed that he wanted Body Count, Ice-T's band, Body Count, as the openers on this tour, and that James Hetfield didn't want him because Ice-T and the band are black. What's so funny about it is Axl Rose in 1992 was a fucking mess. If you want to play the fucking is it problematic this or that tit for tat game, I could say, oh, you're going to take fucking woman beating drug addict Axl Rose's word? The guy who around that time he had jumped into the audience and started pummeling someone for taking a picture of him. I mean, Axl Rose was not a fucking go-to guy for truth in those days. And look, this isn't me trying to cancel Axl, certainly not. But I'm just saying that at that point in the game, Axl was not the most reliable motherfucker there was. In 1992, Body Count was under fucking siege because they had released their first album and it had a little song on it called Cop Killer.
Cop killer, I know your family's grieving. Fuck 'em. Cop killer, but tonight we get even.
Cop Killer was like, dude, you want to talk about a shitstorm. Ice-T was on the news every fucking day. Police were coming out and protesting at every Body Count show. Now, if you're James Hetfield and you're about to go out on the road, a stadium tour, you got to sell between 40 and 60, let's say, 1,000 tickets in every town. You want to bring the fucking Cop Killer band on the road for real? Fuck you. As a businessman, that's a fucking moronic thing to do. That's a dumb fucking idea. On one hand, from a snarky fuck you sort of, heavy metal attitude, it's kind of brilliant. That's if you're just trying to go to small venues and you're trying to set some sparks off and get some shit popping. You're fucking Guns N' Roses and Metallica. You don't need to get shit popping. Shit's a popping already. Let's get somebody who's just going to come out, jerk the curtain, and then we'll blow shit up. So, I mean, to think that racism was at the core of what Hetfield's doing there, that's fucking stupid. Maybe Hetfield maybe he had beef with the song. Maybe he thought that was bullshit. Maybe he just didn't want the fucking look of it. Maybe he didn't want to have to deal with all the fucking headaches that would have come with Ice-T and Body Count opening in 1992 in front of stadiums full of fucking people. Holy shit. Do you want them to burn the goddamn building down before you even get there? Dude, it was molten level heat on fucking Ice-T. And I have no beef, dude. I'm super down with Body Count. That's one of my fucking favorite bands of that era. I think Cop Killer should have never been taken off the album. I think it's bullshit censorship. I know Ice-T is eventually the one who said, look, let's take it off. But that's because everyone that had his back, his label and all that shit, they were taking such heat. They were under such fire. It's the only thing that made sense to take it off the album. But that being said, this isn't Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses, and Ride the Lightning, Metallica. This is post-Black Album. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to make some money. Dude, you can look at my videos. I've said some terrible shit about people. But that being said, I would never, ever want them canceled, silenced, any of that shit. Because that's not a world I want to fucking live in. Just like I don't want to have Jesus freaks tell me how I have to live based on their fucking book. That's the same way I don't want to have woke ass motherfuckers telling me shit that I can and cannot say because they take some sort of weird fucking offense at it. I would say if you have a problem with these issues with Metallica, look a little bit deeper into it. I saw, here, I'll go through some more Twitter comments. My girl Tammy says Metallica defending new fans and then those exact people canceling them 2 weeks later is so incredibly funny to me. That's the best part of this whole fucking thing, is that James himself was like, oh, dude, be welcoming to these motherfuckers. And they went right after James himself. Viliana Rancheva says, so apparently Metallica is being canceled because of James's Iron Cross guitar and because Axl Rose of all people, called him racist for not wanting to contribute to an album with him and Ice-T the rapper. You're a little bit off. They were talking about the tour. I mean, this was a big business situation. Think of if you live in a major city, think of the stadium in your town. Last time Guns N' Roses came to town, I went to go see those motherfuckers at NRG Stadium, which holds 70,000 motherfuckers. So think of that from city to city and having to sell that many tickets. And Axl wants the fucking, the Cop Killer band to open up. It's stupid. It's bad business. Next, my boy Zay says Stranger Things will not change the fact that Metallica and other metal bands are all old racist hags. So why are y'all mad about people bringing that up? Be real for a second and realize that talking about their problematic past doesn't equal canceling them. Like, grow up. One thing I do agree with Zay about, Metallica's uncancelable at this point. All the Stranger Things fans could go away. It doesn't change a fucking thing. Metallica were already selling out stadiums before this. Anybody who's over, I mean, hopefully if you're over maybe 28 years old, you can see that this is silly. It's just silliness. It's little kid bullshit. This illustrates the danger of the internet because we're all like listening to a bunch of fucking teenagers. You guys are letting teenagers tell you what you should be mad about. Teenagers are stupid. Unless you're watching my show. If you're a teenager watching my shit, you're awesome. Next, the best point of all, my boy Ryan Siverson says if Saint Anger didn't get Metallica canceled, nothing will. God damn, that was an awful fucking album. I'll take it even further. Those motherfuckers put Lulu out with Lou Reed. Listen, there's one awesome song on there called Junior Dad. Check it out. It's fucking awesome. Other than that, God damn, that's almost arrogance that they put that fucking album out. That's Metallica saying, what the fuck you gonna do? They just lay their dicks out on the table and just present and take it or don't, motherfucker. We don't care. So, yeah, Metallica, they don't have to worry about shit. If I were them, I would not even acknowledge this whatsoever. It would be no sale for me. And I hope they don't say shit about it. The moral at the end of the day is, you know what? Metal is for a certain type of person and everybody else can fuck off. That's how it is with metal. It was never meant to be for everybody. Regardless of things you may have seen recently, metal is not pop music and it was never meant to be. But we'll see. If anything, if there's any evolution to this story, we'll definitely come back and talk about it next episode. Moving on.